Hi and welcome to a video about Soviet silver coins. And yes, they were actually Soviet silver coins. A lot of countries during and after World War I decided to revoke their silver coinage. And for a time, Russia and the Soviet Union were one of these countries. The Soviet Union saw massive inflation during the late 10s and early 1920s. So much that there were banknotes issued up to 100,000 rubles. But to regain monetary confidence and stability, it was decided between 1921 and finally 1924 that silver coins alongside a redenomination were to be issued, and these coins were made according to the Tsarist pre-revolutionary silver coinage standards. I made a previous video on Soviet coins, but these are coins, non-silver coins from the 30s, but mostly from the 50s and 60s and onwards. But we can show an example coin. This one is from the 30s. This is a non-silver coin, 1933. It's 10 kopecks. The Russian or Soviet ruble, for that matter, is subdivided into 100 kopecks. So it's 1/10 of a ruble. Now, as I said, it's not a silver coin. You can see that it carries the Soviet coat of arms. So that's an example of how the non-silver coinage looked like in the Soviet Union. Although there are other later designs, but you can check out the other video. I will link that in the description. So, Soviet silver coinage. Shall we begin from the bottom and moving up? Here is a 10 silver kopeck dated 1922. Now, none of these were issued until 1924, I believe. But coins were already made as early as 1922 or 1921. Oh, the decision was in 21, I believe. But the mintage started in 1922 to prepare for silver coinage being issued. Now, as you might be aware, the Soviet Union itself was not established until 1923 or 1924. I don't exactly remember right now. So, if not the Soviet Union, in which country's name are these issued? And that we can see on the back side. Workers of the world unite. Is the Russian Federative Soviet Republic? Is that right? Is the main predecessor to the Soviet Union, Soviet Russia, before a union of multiple Soviet republics were established. But it was issued as coinage of the Soviet Union, even if it's just the Russian Soviet Republic. So that's 10 kopek, 10 silver kopek. But then, besides the Soviet Russian design, we also have the proper here from 1925, the Soviet Union design for the 10 kopek. And as with the time, these early 1920s coins feature the slogan, "Workers of the world unite." Here's a 15 kopeck from 1925, a Soviet Union issue. And for comparison, a non-silver 15 kopeck from 1933. Here you can see that the slogan, or at least I think so, or perhaps not. Perhaps it's still "Workers of the World Unite." But anyway, the slogan disappeared sometime in the 1930s, I believe. As the Soviet Union was no longer internationalist in their communist struggle, and more looked inwards. We have the 20 silver kopeck. This one is from 1923, which again means it's the Soviet-Russian issue. Instead of the CCCP, it's the PCCP. And I believe it's... I will correct myself on screen if I get it wrong. But was it 50% silver in these? And then there's more in the larger coins, I believe. A Soviet issue, 20 kopeck from 1924. In a really nice condition, by the way. And the 20 non-silver kopeck from 1932. So now I have mentioned the silver and non-silver. But I have explained it in a previous video. The silver coinage really didn't work, and it costed more than it benefited having silver in the coins. So what happened was that by 1932 silver was removed in the coins. They were supposed to be handed in and melted down, which is why they are rather rare and rather expensive these days. To be replaced by these non-silver equivalents. Yeah, which for most part happen, at least for the larger denominations. Some silver coins were supposedly remained for a long time in circulation if there were smaller denominations like 15 or 10 kopecks. But these coins, though, disappeared rather quickly from circulation. These are Polanic. It's I talked about rubles and kopecks, and then we got the Polanic, which is, instead of saying 50 kopecks, it's a Polanic. It simply means half a ruble. So it's a half ruble coin or a 50 kopeck coin, whatever you prefer. This is the Soviet Union variant, issued in 1924. Sadly, it's a bit damaged. I believe the silver levels in these are higher, so you're looking at 80-90% silver right here. So these are worth quite a bit in silver value as well. What was my point? Yeah, the Soviet Russian version of these were 50 kopecks. They were not polanics. They were just 50 kopecks with a big 50 on them. So for the Soviet Union, the USSR issue, they were called polanics. But this only lasted for this particular coin in the 20s, because later on they were simply named 50 kopecks again. Not to overly complicate things. And here's another one. Except a hole in it for some reason, otherwise in a better condition. Although not still perfect otherwise. And this I believe is a later date as well. 1925. Yeah. And finally, for the centerpiece of this collection, an actual silver Soviet ruble. Now this is pretty heavy, around 20 grams of 80-90% silver, and also with a hole on it for some reason. But of course that lowers the value and the appeal of it. But except for the hole in it, it's actually really nice. And I don't mind holes. I like to buy them regardless. Not the first coin with a hole in it that I bought. And I believe that the silver ruble was only issued in 1924. There are no Soviet Russian version, and there are no other dates. It's just this one from 1924. So that makes it pretty unique. So these I have gotten all of these rather recently. Of course, comparing to silver coinage of other countries at the same time. But of course it depends on the collector market for that particular country. I feel like these are twice as expensive. I mean, if we compare Swedish, like I am Swedish, silver coins from the same period, they mostly go for just a bit over the silver price. But this can go for quite a lot more. I mean, if you go for this Polanic, the auctions and bids for these ones is higher, even in this condition. Damaged condition are still higher than silver coins, Swedish silver coins that are 30, 40, 50 years older. Also damaged, but those also go for just the silver value, while these ones go for quite a bit over the silver value. I don't know exact price, but at the very least I suppose 50% over the silver value of the coins, and for some, especially with the correct excellent quality, far higher than that. But I got my hands on them, and I'm really happy to have them in my collection, even if they're not perfect condition, even if they have holes in them. They are a fun piece of history and rather rare, even if not impossibly rare. not everyone has Soviet silver coins. But now I do, and I feel rather happy about it. And thank you for watching.